Hey guys, so I have this fun card to make for us today. It's not super simple, but I don't know, I just thought it was so cute and perfect for Valentine's Day. And so I thought I'd show it to you. The paper we're using for this card is Cute as Can Be. And there was another one that we had that had red and pink, but this is the one that we had just recently. I'm pretty sure it's retired now, but it has the petunia pop pink, purpley color in it. And so we're using the honey one today. And anyway, just thought it would be fun to do a fun little card. So we'll go ahead and we're going to use our Bee My Valentine stamp set, which is still current. So that's what we're going to use. We're going to be using the You're as Sweet as Honey stamp. And we're going to be using the bee. We need to stamp the bee out. And I want to stamp a little honeycomb. We also need to stamp the wings and the antennae and the little face. Okay. That's not staying. Okay. All right, let's get our little pieces and we'll just stamp first to get that out of the way. And that way, that's all good. We needed this little cushion. This is called a piercing mat. We need this cushion underneath our, we need it underneath our stamp because there's this large surface area on the stamp. Whenever there's a large flat surface area, you want something squishy underneath your cardstock. Even though this table is pretty good, there's something about the squishiness of having the piercing mat underneath it that gives you a smoother finish when you're done stamping. Oops. See, look, it's not inked up all the way on that side. Make sure you get it all the way inked up across the whole thing and then press down. There we go. All right, perfect. I think, all right, so then with the black, we're going to stamp our bee body. And the same thing, there's a large surface area on this particular stamp. See how it's so large and flat? The stripes are flat. So you see it's even like, you can even see a little bit of like bubbling a tiny bit. Well, that will bubble when you stamp. So you kind of, that's why having the flat surface area is good. But having a, sorry, I want to try and make sure I get this on right. But also having a little bit of a squish underneath. Perfect. Allows me to get those nice, clean black stripes. Okay, and then we need to stamp the little face on. And that's it. Just a cute little face. And we're going to cut that out. And then we're going to need, we're going to stamp just a little bit of honeycomb on the inside of our card. We're just going to use the Daffodil Delight to stamp that honeycomb. Okay, we'll let that dry. So we're also going to stamp our antennae and our wings. Now there is a punch that goes with this stamp set. There's a punch, but honestly, I'm not using it because mine is tearing the paper. The one that I have is tearing the paper. So I'm just going to stamp all my parts and cut them out. Normally, I would encourage you to use the punch, but because I'm having such a difficult time with my punch, I decided for my own sanity and everyone else's, we will just skip the punch part. Before we cut it out, we're going to go ahead and take the dark and light Pool Party, and we're just going to color the wings. It just adds that tiny bit of dimension. So I'm coloring The slivers, I'm going to color a dark pool party. And the wings, the wing part, I'm going to color a light pool party. And just gives that little bit of dimension of having the two different colors together. And you could do more shading than that. I'm not. I'm just doing the simple basics. Okay. So for the antennae, when you cut the antennae, just cut it in a heart shape. That's what the punch that I'm telling you not to use does. It cut out these antennae, but it cut them out in just a heart shape. That's it. It just cut them out in a heart shape. And that is a tricky shape to be able to cut yourself. So cutting it out in a tiny, in a tiny heart shape is just better. So you can see I just cut it out in a tiny heart shape and that was good enough. The same thing for the wings. We're going to cut them out in a tiny heart shape, or in a heart shape, but they're larger, so it's a little easier to maneuver. And remember, you turn the paper, not the scissors. The scissors do not move. You just keep opening them and closing them, but the paper is what moves. And that's how you get a nice, clean cut. The same thing when we go to cut our bee. Like I said, if you have the punch and it works, use it. My punch was not working and I was not going to fight it. So I'm like, nah, let's just use, it would be faster for me to use scissors than to fight with the punch, especially if it wasn't really working. I don't know if it's because I dropped it or, you know what I mean? For some reason, it's just not working. It was tearing the paper. And there are things you can do to stop it from tearing, but I just didn't have the energy. And so we're going to go ahead and glue our little wings together. And so for the wings, I'm just going to glue them on the back with just a little bit of glue. And I'm just going to pop those on the back of our bee right here. And then for the antennae, we're going to put those on last. They're a little difficult to glue. I find that they're difficult to glue, so I actually just used a glue dot. So we're going to put those to the side. Let everything dry. Now we can do the rest. This is Petunia Pop at 4 inches and 5 1/4. And this is the Cute as a Bee paper, which is at 3 3/4 and 5 inch. Okay. And we're just going to glue this down onto the Petunia Pop. I was trying to think of something Disney to add to this, but I couldn't. Sometimes the Disney doesn't lend itself, you know. Sometimes you just want to make something cute. Oh, I forgot to stamp our sentiment. So our sentiment is with Petunia Pop, and it's sweet. You're sweet as can be with the, or no, sweet as honey. Honey. Sweet as honey. And this is a 1/2 inch piece of bubble bath paper, just a 1/2 inch. And I think it's 3 3/4, but I'm going to trim it. I just want to make sure there's no, I thought I had some glue on my hands or ink on my hands. And actually it's a little too long, so I'm just going to cut it. Yeah, there we go. It was just a tiny bit too long. So now for the basics of the card, I decided I wanted to have two-tone of the ribbon. I just thought it looked cute to have the gingham, the black and white gingham and the Petunia Pop together. So what we're going to do is I actually layered them on top of each other, but I realized when I was done with the card that it shifted a little. So, I mean, you can still see the Petunia Pop underneath, but it's just a hint of it. So actually, I think I'm going to layer it a little differently so that the Petunia Pop's a little more clear. I just think that'll be better. I just want to make sure I didn't put the petunia pop on the on the card for no reason. It was only after I was finished that I realized it was just a hint, which is okay. It's just, if I'm going to put it on the card, I want to make sure it's seen personally. You know, I don't want to waste ribbon and then you didn't even notice it was on there, you know? So does that make sense? I want it down lower, yeah. My ribbon is crooked. Let's fix that. Let's make sure that's good, okay. Yeah, I want it below. I like the way it looks below, but then you still have a nice pop of color and then the black against it. I just think that gives a fun look to it. Okay, and then we'll put this down. I'm a little extra paranoid about things being crooked right now because I sold a frame and it was crooked when I sold it, and I didn't know it was crooked, and then it just has made me a little more cautious. You know, any of these cards will be available on my Whatnot after filming, and I can't guarantee that a card will not have flaws in it, or now the frames I need to make sure don't have any flaws or little to none, because again, it's you know, a product you're selling. You don't want them to be messed up, you know. And so it's just made me, I think, a little more hyper cautious. All right, so we've got the insides, we've got that. So now for our bee, oh, and our label. So I went ahead and I would use the mini dimensionals on this. Let me grab. These are from a paper pumpkin kit, but we sell the mini dimensionals. Because it's not a very wide piece, you could technically use the bigger dimensionals, but I would use the mini on here. And I'm also going to use the mini on my antennae, and you'll see why in a minute. All right, let's pop that on there. Okay. Okay. Let's get this centered. Okay, and then the bee, I'm going to pop this on, but what I'm going to do is, so I'm going to put a dimensional on the back. Where are the regular size dimensionals? So I'm going to put regular dimensionals on the back of the bee. I'm going to put one on his wings and one like down on his belly. And then we're going to pop him down, or her, or whatever. Pop them down over the top of the ribbon. I just thought the bee added a cute little touch. And then we're going to take a mini dimensional. We're going to put it on the back of that. And instead of trying to glue these antennae onto the bee, we're just going to tuck it behind, just like we did with the wings. I thought it was going to look funny, but it doesn't look funny. And so we're just tucking that behind. And that is our card, you guys. I mean, pretty quick as a whole, you know. And this is Wink Stella. I showed it to you in another video. It's basically a glue or a glitter pen, and you just brush on the tiniest bit of glitter, and it's just awesome. I used it on the bell. That's what I did. I used it the other day on the bell craft with the bell, and it's wet. but I don't know if you can see the shimmer of it. It's hard to tell. I'll try and zoom in when I edit this to make sure you can see it. So that is our card. I was, you know, debating all kinds of other things. We've got our little honeycomb inside. We've got our card on the top, you know, just simple, but cute and sweet. And, you know, just a good little card. So, all right, you guys, thanks for tuning in. And I hope you guys like, comment, follow, share, all the things, and you have an excellent day.